What is going on, everybody? It is power rankings, and oh my lord, this is the power ranking. This is the one where things are finally going to change. Joining me is Kamel. Kamel, how's it going? It's been a couple of weeks since we've seen you. How's life?
It's going good, dude. I'm back. Glad to be back in my battle phase, Duel Links grind, you know. And actually, things are changing in the meta, which is strange, dude. That doesn't happen every week.
It really doesn't.
So it's actually changing from week to week.
I know. It's been crazy. There's been a lot of, pretty much since the GG Tour. With 2 GG Tours ago, Destiny Hero won. That's made Harpies change their deck list, which made them weaker, which made other decks come in. DDD is finally on here, for real this time. Not, you know, for clickbait. They're actually on the tier list. There's a lot of exciting stuff. Really exciting stuff.
Yeah, a lot of other decks are finally finding their footing in the meta against Harpies. You know, I'm truly surprised. It took a couple weeks, but they actually managed to do it. We've got some new contenders making a regular appearance, whether it just be through deck optimization or some new skills, like in the case of Destiny Heroes.
There you go. And then there's also some decks doing bad. We'll probably talk about those at the end. But first things first, all the big tournaments, GG Tour, DLE Showdown just happened on Sunday. All the battle phases, the Meta Weeklies, the Freaklies, Alteria Union Weekly, which I think is a new one. Yeah, and then the Ruby League, which was added last time as well. So should be exciting. First up, Harpy Lady still on top, but not nearly as much an advantage, but still here. 47 points. We're seeing this Mystical Space Typhoon in the main deck because of DDD, because of Destiny Hero. That's really been the big change, right? With Harpy Ladies putting in things like MST in the main?
Yeah, we'll talk about it more when we get over to Destiny Heroes, but MST in the main, you know, it does make it all the more versatile. Destiny Heroes emerging as a top-tier deck now, having the MST in your starting hand to activate in the draw phase so that your opponent is not able to actually get out Destiny Hero Dreadmaster by default is massive. Something Harpies were having trouble doing before, since they needed to normal summon a Harpy. The Clock Tower Prison would already have 4 counters, nothing you can do about it. That draw phase MST does not allow, and a lot of decks have picked up and seen how important that is in the new meta. Some of these guys play Glyph, dude. It's a winged beast just for the extra back row pop, dude. It's pretty interesting how Harpies are still looking for more options to destroy back row outside of Hunting Ground, just because they need that back row destruction before they start their plays.
Yeah, and of course it does work with the Swallow's Nest, which is really nice to get into their plays. But yeah, it's so important right now, spell trap destruction, that it's funny how Harpies Hunting Ground, like you said, is just not enough. They need to out the DDD, need to out the hero, and need to out things like Poisonous Wind still. They can't forget about those cards. They're still around. So
that's right, and because of that, I think the Harpy deck is kind of suffering right now this week more than any. If you saw, like, Harpy decks were defaulting to TTH all week to win games. It felt really strange this week. There was a lot of wins out where previously Harpies would have just won because of, you know, they're the better deck, they're more consistent, but not today. This week I felt at least was just a lot of TTH.
And this is one of the reasons why 41 points. This is the closest it's been since the Automat nerf. Destiny Hero. Look at those first place victories. Holy cannoli.
Clock Tower Prison Destiny Heroes is the new up and coming challenger to Harpies. And I didn't really understand why this deck was so good at the beginning, but it's more or less how you force your opponent to play. The Clock Tower Prison does give you a huge advantage. Your Destiny Heroes are just indestructible. You don't take damage, so your opponent must deal with it, and that opens the way for, you know, you to make plays with your heroes and your remaining back rows. And, you know, while heroes are a deck that, you know, usually are pretty resistant to Treacherous Trap Hole, dude, what I've been seeing is this deck has been getting slapped up by TTH.
Oh, man.
One thing, because you cannot rely on a card like Mass Change in this deck where you would be able to in a normal hero deck. This deck, you're kind of really relying on your Dreadmaster and your Xyz summons. You're bringing those out more often than your masked heroes, because, you know, most decks will be playing 2-3 Mass Change in a 26 card deck. you know, good luck drawing that.
Yeah, I think this deck's super interesting because I think it's also still being, you know, like messed with, because we saw the person who won GG Tour didn't even play the Destiny draw, which to me seems insane. Draw 2 if you just discard a hero, which you always basically have. So I'm excited to see how this deck changes, if they reduce the number of cards or what their plan is for now. But I mean, yeah, the heroes, their biggest problem was their turn 1 before, and now their turn 1 is like super annoying to deal with. You got to play around them.
It's so good. It's forcing people to draw phase MST this deck. I think during the tournament that I watched, I didn't get to see a single Clock Tower Prison resolve because everyone had that draw phase MST ready for heroes. So that's another thing. The deck is pretty effective, but easy to side against.
Yeah, that's going to be a big problem. And you know, 2 weeks ago, you could say, oh, well, people just aren't reading, right? Because we saw PDS casting the TTH hit when Dreadmaster was out and did nothing. You know, stuff like that's not really happening as much anymore. It still happens. People don't read. Yeah, it is what it is. But, I mean, now, that was 2 weeks ago. Now, in the previous week, we're seeing that even as people read, they're making people multiple decks. I've seen decks that are playing MST that have never played MST before, like Harpy Ladies, just to stop this deck. And we'll see. We'll see. Even with all that, still second place.
No, yeah, definitely. It's forcing, you know, the MST interaction where you can only activate MST, you know, or Cosmic Cyclone. Your deck's built-in backward destruction is not going to be enough. And, you know, that's big. I think it's going to open the way for some other decks that already made MST, like the Water deck, baby. Better watch out.
We'll see. We'll see. Third place, Melodious. I think Melodious has been third place 3-4 weeks in a row now. A lot of people saying second best deck in the meta, second best deck in the meta, second best deck in the meta, but it's not really performing as the second best deck. It's never been the second best deck up until now. What's going on here?
I think people have cracked the Melodious code, dude. It's just like, Chalice, now get the hell out of my face, dude. Like, get this deck out of here. It's really not fun to play against this deck, although, you know, it was the new up-and-comer, but this deck is pretty annoying to play against. However, in a TTH meta, this deck absolutely folds. The monsters will just get straight up swept away, except for, you know, the Bloom Diva, which, you know, you can just Chalice to get rid of that when you need to. And, yeah, I mean, not too much to say about this deck. I think it had a lot of the core elements that would make it good. A really good hand trap, the ability to play TTH, get all your materials back, you know, really good consistency. But I don't think it's just not doing anything as good as the other decks are. Now, Chalice is kind of like a general side deck option. Yeah. And most decks can just play it and multi-purpose it in the side deck or even the main deck. So.
Yeah, it's definitely a deck where you have to consider when going into tournaments, because, you know, being put in a corner by the Bloom Diva or Schroberto or the score is a problem. But I think that's all it really is. It's not really ever going to be the best deck, and it's never really going to be the deck to beat, you know? But it's a deck that you do have to consider. I think third place is perfect, and the fact that it's gotten third place like 3 or 4 times in a row now, it's like the third best deck of the metagame, and I think that's a fair way of saying it. It's not one of the 2 decks to beat, but it's around. You got to keep it in mind. Don't miss
2 tournament wins, you know, it's still doing work, and, you know, I think it's at a healthy spot in this meta. You know, Melodious is good where it's at.
4th place after taking a break last week, Yosinju trading places with the Magnets. I feel like every week we're just, whatever Destiny draw deck is performing well takes the 4th place spot or 5th place depending on where we go.
Yeah, Yosinju's pick up a win in Battle Phase Thursday this week. Absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
Destiny drawing for a Cosmic Cyclone in order to activate Utopia Ray effect. Absolutely nuts. But yeah, you know, that's just proof, you know, this deck is, unfortunately, it is kind of riding the coattails of Destiny draw, I feel. Something to note, though, a lot of decks are not properly equipped to deal with heavy hand trap decks, let alone heavy hand trap decks that also utilize Destiny draw. It puts most of them in an awkward position. A lot of these decks are straight up battle-oriented decks that often have 1 or 2 forms of removal, so more often than not, they're going to be forced to play into a Destiny draw, giving Yosenju's a vital card, you know, really late in the game where it's harder for some of these other decks to get cards like that. You know, Heroes, Melodious, playing the Destiny draw, it's rough for them not to.
Yeah, this might be a good time to bring up one of the decks that was meta, but is probably going to fall off. Gaia does not like MST. Because the field spell, a searchable MST is a little problematic.
A searchable MST, dude, yeah.
Oh, no God. And with Gaia being gone, decks like this that play heavy hand traps are more than likely going to start, you start seeing them more and more here. Because, yeah, it's rough out here. I don't think I've seen a single Gaia field spell resolve its search effect in the past week. It's very brutal.
Not when Destiny Hero running around with a better field spell, arguably.
Yeah, and everyone's now teching in MST as well. Even the Harpy late. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see what happens with Gaia if they can adapt at all. 5th place. Oh my God, they're here.
Oh my God, dude. DDD
they're here.
Actually made it to the power ranking. They actually won a tournament this week.
They did, the Ruby League, I believe.
Interesting. Yeah. They won Ruby League. And this deck list looks just about as general as you could go about it for a DDD deck. They are playing the one Book of Moon, which in this deck, this person is playing a lot of DDD monsters. Just looking at it, 2 Dragon King, Pendragon. I felt that the DDD deck is kind of weak when you don't have all of your components within your deck running at the same time. Your fusion monsters, your Dark Contract with the Witch, and maybe some Pendulum Scales to keep back row off the field. But I don't know. I think if you're at least able to establish 2 pieces of your win con, you're in a good position with this deck.
I mean, it's a weird deck because it did have a good Harpy matchup, even like a winning Harpy matchup. But I feel like as soon as Harpy started teching in the MSTs, that became a problem. I even saw some playing Raigeki Break and stuff. And that helps them counter the second best deck now, D Hero, but also kind of pretty much destroys this deck if you just you obviously know your effects can go off.
MST is not something you typically saw hitting DDDs, but now that it's really commonplace in the meta, you can definitely expect it to stop the resolution of some Dark Contract with the Witches and Dark Contract with the Gates. So.
In a funny way, though, the fact that Harpies kind of took a hit because other decks are kind of, they have to counter other decks now. This deck has performed better because of that. So hopefully we see more of it. I do think it's still more of a rogue deck rather than like a meta deck. But if it's able to make 2 weeks in the power rankings, then maybe we can talk about it from there. But, as of right now, I think it's sitting comfortably at number 5. Definitely that first place, giving it a ton of points, which, good for them. And that is the top 5. I mean, Water Exceed, Magnets, where are they? What happened to them? What's going on? They
still did not show up this week, right? Magnets not getting a tournament win. That puts a heavy a heavy dent in the amount of points that they get. No win. Water Deck, no win either. Just a second place in Battle Phase Thursday. And a lot of these decks, they're in the rogue area. If they don't get a win for the week, they are not going to show up on the power rankings. We saw Blue Eyes do some stuff in GG Tour this week, but not enough for them, and Resonators just did not show up either.
Yeah, I think this is just the meta shift that we were looking for, right? D Hero is here. Yep. These other decks are starting to get pushed out. Gaia might be done. We'll have to see if they can adapt. Magnets might be done. They might just switch places with Yosenju. We don't really know. It just kind of depends on... They're definitely on the lower end of the metagame, and they're going to have to try to adapt to now D Hero instead of just Harpy. And that's really what's messing with a lot of people.
Yeah, dude, 4 tournament wins for Destiny Hero this week. Something I do not think will carry over into the next week. Surely, the representation for D Hero was basically half that of Harpies, and they almost beat them this week. Harpies with 314 representation this week. That is massive numbers. We're in the peak of Harpy meta, but Destiny Heroes with 163 decks gets 41 points. I don't know, man. I'm really interested to see if people really just start playing around the Destiny Hero win condition and siding against if that's enough to knock it down, or if they make the competition week after week.
It'll be interesting. You guys let us know in the comments. What do you think? What's your tier list looking like? Harpies obviously still in tier 1, but D Hero, are they also up there with Harpies? Are they more of a tier 2? What do you guys? How do you guys think the meta will shape up? Is Gaia dead? Is Water Exceed dead? I don't know. I think that's it. Kamel, anything else?
That's it, guys. Sub to Twitch, 6 tournaments a week. Get over there, get on the power rankings, represent your favorite deck.
There you go. Till next time, boys. Till next week. Take it easy.
Peace out.